And am I recording? Yes. Welcome to the Javier Mendez podcast with Javier Mendez and Tony Valente. And I sound like an announcer, but I'm just joking. Well, we're kind of kicking off Champ Camp. And, we got Khabib back. We got Islam back. We've got Umar. Get the Russian gang back in town. The training floor is flooded. I think it was the end of the practice the other day. Duran was going, hey, Duran is saying, hey, there's going to reserve the bicycles up there because there's so many people trying to train. Whenever he shows up, it's always like that, huh?
Yeah, I had one of the coaches basically concerned because he said there was 28 fighters up there, and he said that it was that way on Friday and it was there yesterday. And he's concerned about Khabib, his training, too many people, distractions. So I said, I'll address it. I talked to Khabib, and no, he loves it that way. The more people, the better for him. So he loves the energy from all the fighters, and he likes it packed like that. And you know what? I do too. I like it like that also. The more packed, as long as there's room, the more packed, the better.
That's true. He gets that. He's from a big community. He's used to working out with a huge gym and running like a little army, so he does. I can see him drawing energy from that.
He does. He does. Yeah. If they're his guys.
Well, Tony and I were just talking before you signed on. We're like, hey, look, Hab's all over MMAJunkie. They like the podcast so much they're trying to get as much Hab as possible, which is great. Some pretty good stuff you're talking about there. I saw you mention something about Islam. That nobody seems to want to fight him. And watch him in the gym, I can see why.
Yeah, I that's what I got, and the people that do want to fight him are injured. So, Islam is not the first one that's in this situation where he probably has to start calling people out, and I think he did that. I saw a comment he made on his Instagram regarding one of the guys, and it was a funny thing, but it might be funny enough for the other person to say, I'll take that bout, even though it's not to his advantage to fight someone that's not as high ranked as they are. So Islam needs to be gunning for the lower level ranked guys, and the lower level ranked guys need to probably avoid him.
It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. It happens in boxing too. More so in boxing. People can hide under different belts and titles. You see a lot of that, Tony? I mean, you're more familiar with the boxing world than most people I talk to.
You know what? Most fighters just want to fight. They just don't want to sit around all year and fight once a year. So it's usually promoters more so than actual fighters. Fighters will take chances and they want to fight. And professionals are just really not scared. So most managers, they're like terrorists. They want soft targets.
So the padding of records is just something that we saw in the olden days, but you can't afford to do that. UFC won't let you pad anything. You're either on or you're not on. But I don't know how.
That's why MMA is where it is, because it isn't like boxing. In boxing, everybody wants soft targets, and they want to build up these great records and get a big payday. And that's why MMA is taken over.
I see most of the time in the UFC that somebody's launched right off into the deep end. They're never, they're never given an easy fight. I mean, unless you talk about the guy that fought, CM Punk. He was given an easy fight, but he had went off a.
But it was unknown whether it was going to be an easy fight. It was unknown, so the UFC didn't give him an easy fight plan. And in all fairness, Conor getting Cowboy, that was not an easy planned fight. It turned out that way, but it wasn't planned to be an easy fight. Sometimes it just happens that way. Someone gets taken out of a bout within 3 to 4 or 5 seconds, and you go, "Oh, it's a gimme." Well, you don't know that, just because it was a gimme. I mean, there's no way. UFC has been notorious for giving you the toughest fights, and I still see it. They give you the toughest fights. They don't work on the fighter to build his reputation and his win calling. They just give you tough fights. Other organizations, they'll pad you, and you know what? Me personally, if I'm a promoter, I'm going to pad a fighter that I want to build. I'm going to pad him, and that's the best way to make stars to me is to pad him. But UFC's mentality is hey, if you want to be a star, well, prove it.
You know, it kind of makes me think about, I don't know why this came to me, but we were talking about boxing for a second and how that fight was over so quick. And I had a friend that grew up in Las Vegas, and he went to a lot of Tyson fights, and people would spend 10, 15,000 for the front row. And you're from Vegas. I mean, did you go to any of those fights, a Tyson fight, like a 5-second knockout? Like, what did I
went to all of them.
Yeah.
I went to all of them, and everybody is. But you got to realize, Mike Tyson was the first reality show. You didn't know who was going to show up. You didn't know if he was going to attack somebody in the audience. You never knew what was going to happen. He was smashing cars, just 24-hour drama. So he was he was like the original social media self-publicist.
It's funny though. Imagine you're like some big, hey, I'm going to the fights. A New York guy, come on, Tony, Billy, let's go. They hop on a plane. They drop first-class tickets. They get the suites. They're loaded, you know, probably 20,000. Then 5 seconds, it's over. I don't know if you can appreciate that as much for the journey, you know, but it is what it is. That's a great fight.
You can't, but it is what it is.
Right.
Nobody can appreciate that because they paid for more than that, you know, and you just, all you can think is, damn it, that's all that money, you know, and okay, well, move on, you know, next one. But no, you can't appreciate a short knockout. I mean, it is what it is, right? But in all fairness, you know, since I'm not a gambler in that regard with the betting on fights, a lot of these people bet on the fights. So for them, a short fight is when, shit, there's my money. Boom, down, or boom, there went up, you know. So it's high and super low. Super high, super low because of 5 seconds. There I won a lot of money in quick 5 seconds. There's no drama. Boom, over.
Yeah, it's a lot less painless than to go through the stretch of 3 or 4 rounds going, oh, no, I hope he wins. He's going to make a comeback. But a lot of people call you for betting advice, Tony, don't they? Like, because you have a lot of insight.
All the time. All the time. They never stop.
You know, we got to make that a thing on our podcast. Like, for the next fight, give Tony's picks. I think that would be good because you were pretty dead on so far. I haven't seen you be off yet.
I got like a 95% win ratio on stuff. The NBA is really difficult to deal with, but even so, you know, it's tricky nowadays because everybody's injured all the time. So if you know who's injured and who is not injured, you got a chance.
Well, I guess that's the thing. I mean, how football bookies and all those people, who's got an injury, who's doing what? I mean, that's how the sports insiders, like the guy from the movie Casino, had all how fast is the wind blowing that day? I mean, all kinds of variables, but I don't know. So Hob, how do you like going on the MMAJunkie show? They seem to like you a lot.
When was that?
I don't know. I just saw one published. I was like, today I was on Facebook and they go, oh, I don't know if they recycled it or this was from earlier when they're just talking about the Islam thing.
I did one yesterday.
Oh, okay.
The guy was really good. Colin was his name.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was MMAJunkie. I just didn't know. It was a podcast. I know. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't know. And the guy was good. He was good. He asked the right questions, and you know, he knew his stuff. You know, it was very good. I liked him.
Yeah, I noticed you guys had good rapport there. And then Tony, you know, Tony's the TikTok star. I'm just bringing people in a little more to get to know a little bit more about who you're watching and stuff. But Tony, you got 5 million views on TikTok. We got to have more people find you. And I don't know if I put it out there last time. I want to put it out early before I don't forget later in the show. What is your TikTok handle? Because they can.
Oh no, it's just Valente style. So there's just, you know, it's entertainment, a little bit of crazy training methods, a little bit of weapons. You know, it's entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, we're back to cracking with Hob. He's got some of the greatest Instagram videos that have been popping. I mean, you know, he's always you're quick with that, Hob. I don't know where it comes from, but you're always ready to make an instant movie with Khabib or Islam. I mean, do you see it? Does it come to you in like 30 seconds or what? Because those things get a lot of views.
No, I kind of create it. I see something and I go, okay, you know, then I tell them, I'm going to film you guys. And they go, okay, coach. So I kind of create it. So, and then sometimes I do catch them off guard. But normally I've been kind of creating it as it comes along. Hey, I want to talk to you about this. What do you think? They go, okay, coach. So with DC, I can just do whatever with DC. He's so freaking good. And You can't get DC off his game. He'll get you off your game, but you ain't getting him. You're not getting DC. He's too damn good.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not in Hollywood. I mean, the guy, I've seen him turn on the dime.
Yeah, you'll be seeing him in Hollywood. He's a natural born prankster. He's natural for the camera. He's just a good all around guy all the way around. DC's he's meant for that, you know. And the good thing about him that's unusual is he's also meant to be a great coach, and he gives 150% to his kids, all of them, you know, from the little 4-year-olds up to the high school kids, you know. And man, that guy is incredible with what he does as a coach, and to be able to do everything else that he fits in his life, and being a good father, and, you know, and just unbelievable. The wife, you know, the whole bit, you know, that guy carries it all.
That's the way of the champion. I mean, follows the schedule, lives the routine. You know?
No, well, as an outsider, he just projects who he is. So it isn't acting.
No, he's not acting. No, he is.
No.
He
just shines because that's who he is.
Yeah.
It's a trip. I mean, you try to interview the guy. He's fast, so you better come ready, because he'll have you going as the interviewer if you're not ready. He's pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah.
I was really loving that Instagram yesterday with Islam coming in, getting the fan mail that you had, and then he just caught me off guard. He's like, send money next time, not English letters. That was
He threw me off on that one too. I mean, the rest of it was all Khabib fan mail.
Does he always get that much fan mail coming to the gym during champ camp?
Khabib, yeah. People don't understand how famous he is and how far people will come to see him. Unfortunately, he has so many people come, he cannot actually. Everybody, they don't realize. They think, oh, I'm going to come visit Khabib. I want to talk to him. I want to do this. And like, oh my God, do you realize you can't just come and talk to him anymore like in the past, because he's so busy. He's in and he's out. So if you're lucky and you come to the gym, if you're willing to risk that, which I personally would not, it's going to be tough, because you come to the gym expecting to see him, you be able to talk to him, and you come in empty-handed. You know, I mean, so you leave home empty-handed because did you not get to see him, you didn't even get to talk to him, or you didn't get to take a picture, because he has no time. And I see it. I've been with him all this time from when he did have time, so this time he doesn't. So before it was like, if anybody want autographs or anything in pictures, they can wait before training or after training. Now, not possible. If they're lucky, they get it. If not, they don't. You know, and it's not one of those tough luck things. No, it's one of those, that's just the way it is. You know, the more popular you get, the harder it is for you to be accessible to everybody that in the past you would have been accessible to. You know, it's not that easy. So for those fans that are thinking they could just come to the AKA and see him, unfortunately, it's not that easy anymore. It was easier in the past. Now it's very difficult because of all the things he has to do and the time schedule he's on. And it's hard, man. It's hard. Being a superstar, which he is now, is so much harder than last year.
You were talking about that at lunch. I mean, people, you don't see this. He's the only person, because he's such a global figure, that people come. I mean, last camp I saw people like, where are you from? Oh, I just drove from Denver. Oh, I drove from Pennsylvania, just to see him, get a picture with the guy. And you've never seen that for anybody else in the camp, you know? So that's a big thing.
No, I've had even the one guy that cracked me up was like the pilot. There was a pilot in Dubai. He flew all the way to San Francisco, rented a car from San Francisco to San Jose, comes all the way to San Jose, just happened to catch Khabib as he's entering for training, got his picture, took off happy as hell. And I talked to him, I said, you came all the way from Dubai? Yes, sir. And I said, for the picture? And yes, that was my dream. Okay. All right. I'm like, okay, what are you going to say? I mean, that was his thing. But the thing is, at that time, more people could do that. Now, no, very hard.
You know, I wonder, like, if there's anything like that in Vegas. I mean, you're the man in Vegas. Is there anybody waiting outside Mayweather's gym like this, Tony, or any of the other famous fighters out there?
Well, I mean, when Floyd is fighting, it definitely becomes a circus over there. It's like a car show, and you got groupies and all this other stuff. But nobody's flying all the way from Dubai or nothing like that. It's a lot of people want to see him lose.
Yeah.
Without McGregor, he couldn't have sold those tickets. He leaves outside of Vegas, he's not that popular. He goes to a foreign country, they might think he's Tupac or something. He doesn't have that kind of magnitude that Khabib has, not even close.
That's the difference, because I was just looking at statistics today with a friend of mine. We were talking about marketing and social media and reach. And I go, let me tell you something. I go, you think the NFL is big? And I go, boom. And I showed him the numbers. I said, Khabib has more followers than the NFL official Instagram, right? I said, oh, you like the 49ers, right? Oh, they only have 16 million less followers than Khabib, because he's a global icon, not just a fighter. He's gone across that and put his personality and his generosity and all the good things that he does around the world. And it's different. There's people that talk about it.
You can call it MMA Mount Rushmore.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Conor had a lot to do with that. Not to take away from that A-side marketing. That guy was the Tony Robbins of fighting. He brought the big seminars. He sold out the crowd. How much of a jump did you see on your social media and Khabib's social media after the fight or just before the fight with McGregor, Javier?
On my Instagram, after the fight, I believe I jumped 50,000 that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
had that kind of jump since, but at that particular time, it jumped up 50,000. I was at, I want to say I was maybe 130 or something at that time. It happened, and then when they fought, I went up to 180 something thousand Instagram followers.
Oh my God. I mean, that's amazing. You're like your own television station, your Rolodex, your people, the people that are what you're into. That's what it changes.
You think I jumped that much? I think he jumped millions.
Probably. I don't know if you know this. He was rated number 5 highest grossing Instagram profitability wise in Russia. Number 5. And the only reason why he's not number 1, because most of what he does is about his community, his brothers, his training, his family. He doesn't put 100 ads on there where his competitors are probably like a Russian version of the Kardashians, and they've got an Amazon link below and they're selling something. He'll post very rarely, and still number 5 without even trying. He might be the most popular guy in Russia, I think.
Well, it's legitimate.
There's no Mike. You have to be in Russia to understand. It's not even close, guys. When you've been there, and I've been there, so I can talk, it's not close. Trust me, it's not close. No one's close to him. Not in Russia. Not in Russia.
Wow. Sounds more powerful than the Beatles ever were.
We're talking two different things, We're talking great icons in the music. We're talking fighters. So I can just tell you, in response to how popular he is there is no, there isn't. And I talked to everybody who was there. Everybody said the same thing. I mean, that's why he's their hero. He's a hero over there. I mean, because he is. It's just a fact.
I'm going to segue and come back to MMA because we want to talk about the fighters we get coming up this week for your team. We get 4 fighters on Bellator, but Tony was sending me some topics, and I want to say thanks again because Tony helps me prep, sends me a few things. And word on the street, I guess that would be the way we were talking about it earlier, Tony. What is the word on the street? Well, maybe start with the boxing side, the big boys.
Well, Tyson Fury, people are very apprehensive about his approach because he's saying he doesn't need to fight for money. He might come in at 270 to increase his punch. And, if a guy goes into a fight weighing 270, it's inevitable what's going to happen to him. You're not going to really increase your punch by having a bigger belly or adding weight to your body. So he doesn't really seem that confident. It seems like he already has an exit strategy by the way he's talking. Oh, I have so many other opportunities. I could become a WWE wrestler. It's like he's already planning to lose mentally.
Well, so you're saying where to bet? That's kind of non-committal vocabulary. Like, maybe I'll start a hot air balloon company. He just, talking about WWE, something abstract, trying to not face what's before him in Deontay, who's a beast. And I predict the same turnaround on that. What do you think about that, Hob, him getting heavier?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes things work in your favor. Sometimes they don't. First of all, I just read that he switched his trainer that actually revived his career. So about 2 months ago, so he switched him for Emmanuel Stewart's nephew, I believe, or something like that. Someone related to Emmanuel Stewart, I guess, who's really good. So I don't know, man. Sometimes I'm thinking when you change what you had that was working, I'm not so sure it's the best move, especially, 2 months out. I don't know. There's a lot of things that are going on that could work in his favor, and maybe they don't. I mean, man, we'll find out Saturday, but I'm on the fence on that one. It could work in his favor. It could not work in his favor. I mean, one thing's for sure. Deontay Wilder hits with one good shot, 2 shots, lights out, almost guaranteed, because he does it to everybody.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and I guess I'll, back to Tony. We were talking about this, Tony. When you look at Deontay's power, he's not as big as him, and his power can take down a man probably up to 300 plus pounds with the way he hits, more maybe. But holding pads for guys, you work with a lot of guys. They got heavier over time. Were they any more powerful? I mean, why don't you take a shot of that, Tony, and throw it back to Hob? Did they get any more powerful? Billy got fatter. Was the punches harder, or was he running out of gas quicker? What was the differential there?
Okay, so this is what George Foreman and Archie Moore told me years ago. They said punchers are born. And George told me that out of everybody he's ever fought, only 5 people could actually punch. And everybody else he had no fear of. Now, Archie Moore had the record for knockouts. He had 129 knockouts in his career. So gaining the extra weight in a short amount of time or lifting weights or something like that, it's really not going to really increase your punch that much. You can either punch or you can't punch. And Tyson Fury's never had a punch. So putting on extra weight is not going to give him knockout power.
Yeah. What about you, Hob? I mean, you guys have a very unique insight. I've never held pads and watched pros go up and down in weight, and you've dealt with heavyweights, light heavyweights, and watched their weight fluctuation. Have you ever noticed any power change in anybody, or what did change the power, if anything, physically?
Normally, if you can punch, you can punch. And if you gain weight, you're pushing more weight. So obviously, if your speed is still the same and you're pushing more weight, it's obviously going to hit harder. But is it that much of a difference for you to want to gain the weight? I say sometimes, or usually I would say no. Usually it works against you, because if you gained all that weight, that means you're not as good a shape as you used to be. Okay, Joshua and Ruiz, what happened there? Joshua came in lighter. Ruiz came in heavier. What happened there? Ruiz couldn't catch Joshua. Joshua was on his plan the whole time through. So, yeah, I hit harder, but you didn't hit nothing. Because why? Because you were slower. You might have packed a bigger punch, maybe. I don't know. But, and you could even take enough more. But you couldn't catch up to the gazelle, which was Joshua. So, to me, a situation like that where you gain that extra weight, I'm not so sure it's the smartest thing. Deontay Wilder, what does he weigh? He looks like a basketball player body, for God's sake. But he doesn't put on any weight. He packs power. So, and he can continue to knock you out from the first to the last round. Probably to 20 rounds, the guy can still knock you out. So to me, it's. I don't know if it's a wise idea to put on weight. I think, honestly, the better shape you're in, the more weight you lose. As long as it's shape-related and you're eating healthy, I think it's better in the long run. It's proven to be, from what I see anyways.
Well, I don't know if I was mistaken. Did Ruiz lose weight for the second fight? He came in lighter, like, I'm going to lose weight. And people might have said you lost your power. I don't know if I remember that backwards.
No, Ruiz was lighter the first fight. He came in 15 to 18 pounds heavier the second time around. And he started later, too. And it showed. And Joshua was lighter. He was a lot lighter. And man, Joshua looked incredible. He looked incredible, you know. And I mean, he kept dancing all around him. He just outworked him easily, you know, because he was on his game. He never stood in there, slugged it out with Reeves. It was just one of those tactical things where, you know, I say sometimes it works against you, you know. So in this case, I normally see it, honestly speaking, works against you, you know, when you're going against something that you shouldn't do. It's just, I don't know, man. If your body doesn't perform as well, it doesn't appear to translate to better fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel any more athletic. When I get heavier, I feel like my feet hurt. And that made me think of something because I was talking to Tony giving me a health tip earlier today because I've gone up as high as 330 pounds. Now I'm probably at 250. And my feet were hurting when I stepped on the ground. And, you know, that's in the diabetic zone. But you were telling me about sugar and what it does to your veins, Tony. Please give us more insight on that.
No, it's just simple. If your heart pumps to your arteries pump to your veins. When you have high levels of sugar, the sugar eats your veins up. So you have no blood transport to your feet. So your feet are always going to be the first thing that gets attacked.
Is that blood flows down, gravity, natural?
Your feet and ankles are always going to be on attack. So even if you test your blood sugar, it's going to come out fine, but it doesn't matter. You know, that's why they call diabetes the silent killer. It hides in your body. And today with, you know, certain supplements and stuff like that, more people are getting diabetes than ever.
Certain supplements, which kinds? Are you talking about illegal, legal? Which kind?
All of the above. Everything but what people are looking for on the street, which is the CBD oil that's used for horses that's like 4,000 milligrams. That's what a lot of people are looking for.
That's going to be, what's it called? Big Horse CBD? What is that stuff? I know we got Javier's, you know, CBD MD, and he loves it and he lives by it. I don't think he needs 4,000 milligrams. Why are people trying to score this stuff so bad, Tony?
People think more is better. So with the CBD MD, it's 1,500 milligrams and it works spectacular. But they think more is better. And they're like, well, wow, if I use what a horse uses, then maybe I could even perform even better. So, you know, a lot of people are looking for a connect where they can get the CBD that's used on horses, which is absurd, but it is what it is.
That's pretty insane. Have you heard about this stuff, Bob?
Well, CBDMD sends me sample boxes, and some of the stuff is 5,000, the oil, and some 7,500. Most is 1,500. The recovery for inflammation, that one, man, really, really works well. I use that on people; they love it, man. And then the IC, the roll-on in the cream really works really, really well. The other ones for, like, believe it or not, for sleep, man, it puts you out. It puts you out. But you can't be one of these, like me, I'm an insomniac, so at times it works, at times nothing works at times, you know. But for the most part, the stuff really works well.
It's funny, my landlord, he likes the CBD and the weed, and he had some pain. And he took a couple of these huge bottles and he drank them like 3 beers of all CBD to get rid of some horrible pain. He goes, I was spinning. My legs felt like they're made out of rubber. I guess at a certain point, it gets very, very strong, just like too much of anything.
Not with CBD. No, it had to have THC in it.
Might have.
No, he had THC, bro. That's going on with him. No, it's not. No, you're not getting that with just CBD. You can have as much as that you want of that, and it's just overkill, you know. It's just overkill. You're not really helping yourself any, you know. But no, if it's THC in it, like over 0.03, yeah, you're gonna mess yourself up. But I don't know. I don't know what he put in it. But if it's just CBD, 0.03 and below, no way. You can have as much of that as you want. It ain't gonna affect you at all.
All I know is that the benefits people may not consider is we had a pain pill epidemic in America, and people think that alcohol is the only thing that gives you cirrhosis of the liver and kills you. And it's just a health tip for anybody that trains or fights or does bodybuilding or CrossFit, fan of the sport. it will kill your liver. And I've watched somebody die right in front of me with liver disease. It's no joke. So CBD bypasses, does not hurt the liver. So I think that's why it's a beautiful alternative. People might just think it's trendy, but there's actually a very reasonable, viable reason to use this stuff.
Well, Tony's the best expert on that. He told me years ago, inflammation is the killer, you know, and what CBD is, what's it known for? Killing inflammation. That's the number one. It doesn't cure, if you have a tear, if you have something, it's not going to cure it. But what it does do is it cuts the inflammation down drastically, so it gives you more time to heal quicker versus, you know, with inflammation there, getting to heal becomes a lot longer, you know. So that's what the CBD does. It kills the inflammation, you know, almost completely, you know, to some degree. I mean, without it, I would have never been able to hold pads still because the inflammation was so bad. My tendonitis on both my elbows, in and out, was horrible, and I couldn't hold. There's so much pain, and man, I just religiously use CBD MD every day, 2-3 times a day, and I use it even when I don't think I need it, when I know I don't need it, only because for fear of, you know, it happening again. Man, I don't want that pain. It sucks.
It's a unique injury to guys that work with fighters. I'm going to call it puncher's elbow. It's the opposite of tennis elbow.
Well, if you keep the sugar out of your body, it works 10 times better because sugar creates the inflammation.
What is there anything other than sugar, Tony? Because I was going to go back to you with that. I did think you said inflammation, sugar, acidity, pHs.
Okay, there was a book that came out in 1955 called The White Truth, and this doctor, in his practice of 50 plus years, he could trace every disease back to high levels of sugar.
Wow. Yeah, my father went on a diet called Sugar Busters. I go, what's that? That sounds silly. Eat some candies. Nope, he lost all kinds of weight. And, you know, it's pretty amazing stuff what you can do with that kind of stuff. But I just bring it up because I had my concerns about it. You bring it up, Tony. I want to go back to the fight coming up this weekend with you, Hob. You've got EdRuth, who's main card main event. You've got KyleCrutchmer, and I like to think of, I told him and EdRuth, that I said, you guys are kind of like the DC and Kane of your generation. You're the next guys because they're both monster wrestlers, different weight class, but super high caliber. And I mean, I like seeing them train together. Do you see them make each other grow as you watch them over time? You've had a lot more time at it than me, huh?
They definitely help each other. You know, well, anytime you got high-level wrestlers like those two guys, you know, it's because they almost cancel their wrestling now, so they have to do other things. You know, be more creative in order for them to utilize, you know, the wrestling on each other. It's not easy, man. And with both of those guys, and the more experienced guy is Ed. You know, Kyle still has some work to do, but they're both beasts on the ground, you know, in wrestling department. You know, they still need work on the other areas, but that's coming. You know, it's coming with them. You know, Ed's further ahead. Of course, he's the main event, and you know, he's got a tough task ahead of him. He's got a really tough Russian that's 22-0 and 4-time Sambo champion, and good. Those guys, Sambo guys, man, they're good everywhere. Good wrestlers, good kickers, good punch, everything. This guy Ed's fighting's got everything. Good everywhere.
That's pretty exciting. You know anything about KyleCrutchmer's opponent?
Well, I looked at KyleCrutchmer's opponent, but it was the wrong opponent. It was somebody else. I go, man, that guy's kind of big for you. And so I don't have as much on him. His opponent's taller, skinnier than the first original guy that I thought. And so I don't know. I do not. So I know he's got some fights. I don't really know much more other than that, you know. Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah, I looked at the picture. All I saw was the pose down. I'm like, don't know the guy. He looks like a tall, lean guy. And
really lean, tall. If he can't wrestle, he's in trouble, which I'm assuming he can't wrestle too well. Most of those guys, they can. And if they're that tall and that lean, you usually know if they're good wrestlers or not. I haven't heard nothing about that. So I'm assuming that Kyle's going to go in there, do some stand-up, take him down, and pretty much smash him, to be honest with you. Ed's the one that's got a tough fight because he's not going to be able to just smash his guy. That guy is well-schooled and well versed in all areas. So that's a tough fight. ShawnBunch is another one that's fighting, and ShawnBunch has got Kevin Lee's brother, I believe, is who he's fighting. So obviously he's fighting another fellow wrestler. ShawnBunch being the higher level wrestler. That's an interesting fight. We'll see what happens. I believe Sean's way ahead of the game, but we'll see. And then the last one is Salim, and I can never pronounce Salim's last name. You probably get it better than I can, Lynn.
I think it's Mudikudov. I said that last time, like Mudikudov, but Salim is, I don't know, he's very, you feel his energy, you believe in him, you watch him train, the dedication. I mean, I film the guy the most out of most guys at the gym, just because, he asked me a long time ago, actually his buddy bought me lunch. I go, oh, you get the cameraman's attention. He goes, here, film my friend. And then, then I started filming him. I went, this guy makes great video. So he's on the Instagram rolling hard right now, but he comes from a very hard life. I mean, he comes from Tajikistan, which I understand is kind of a dictatorship. It's hard to get out of there. He's one of the few people out of the country, and he's over here representing the people. He's like freedom and a fighter for his country, where he's from at the same time. So his following is very engaged and very unique. People seem to really love this guy, and he seems to win over people in the States a lot too.
Well, when you get to know him, you find out the reason why people love him. He's a great kid, He's very humble, he's very respectful, and he's very hardworking. He has all the attributes of someone. How can you not admire? How can you not respect? He's not a bad person in any way. And he's very, very, very polite. And like I said, he has a big time respect for his elders, which a lot of them in those countries, their elders are number one. They're very respectful to their elders, no matter what. If the elder says something, even if they disagree, they're going to do it because that's their elder, and that's the respect factor that he brings here too.
Yeah, I saw that the other night when we were up there filming Khabib and Umar doing some mitt work with you. How the coach, Hector, he's like, oh no, I'll swab the deck for you there. I'll take the mop, and he's like, no. I can't let you. You are like my father. I must respect you. You are the elder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a hard time with that too when they used to do it to me. Now, I never won. I never won one time. No, leave me alone. I'll do it. No, I just let them do it because it's for them. They feel good when they do that. They feel good when they're relieving you of something they feel they should be doing over you. They really respect the elders and authority over and with Khabib's crew, it's Salim's crew. I mean, man, it's a joy to be around guys like that, and to some degree, we lost that here in the U.S. We lost that years ago. Those guys have never lost it. And personally speaking, I don't think they ever will.
Yeah, it's hard to bring that back. You see the countrymen, the brotherhood between the two guys, like when Khabib and Salim, they see each other, there's instant respect. But Tony, is there a lot of Russian fighters in Vegas, or do you see any out there, or does Hab have them all at his gym?
No, there's a lot of Russian girls all over the place. But as far as fighters, they come and go, but it's not a whole lot. But there is a lot of Russian girls all over the place.
I had a question too, another subject matter. Diego Sanchez. And this is brought to us by our wonderful Tony Valente, the subject matter expert, helped me put this podcast together. So that was a pretty interesting situation. He was mad at DC for something he said. He says his coach deserves to be the coach of the year. And I don't know. I wrote over a couple of quick articles. I don't want to get misquoted, but I think he was saying he was using like a Mayweather technique to stay away from the opponent who looked like that guy was just dominating. Did you watch that fight, Hav?
Yeah, I watched the fight.
What did you think? Spectacle? Situation? What was that?
Well, it was a fight that Diego looked good, but he just, honestly speaking, just seemed too small for the other guy. And Diego, either he wasn't employing his wrestling, or it was hard for him to employ his wrestling because the other guy's style, And it didn't appear to be going well for him. And when he got hit with that illegal knee, 2 minutes left in the fight, you get hit with an illegal knee. Now your face is jacked. Now your fight even if you got up and fought, you jeopardized. Now you got to stop the guy. You got a cut face, which now you got to look at that damn scar for the rest of your life, probably. You know, so yeah, there's a lot going on. The ref's telling you ready to go. We'll give you 5 minutes. Man, your mind's going, shoot, am I winning? Am I not winning? I mean, it's definite big time foul, disqualification. You know, and now you got to understand, from my perspective, if I'm in Diego's shoes, and now I lost my last 2 fights, not in the most impressive fashion that I would have liked to have lost. I would have liked to have lost maybe closer, but I lost. Now you're going into your 3rd fight. You got hit with an illegal knee. Your back's up against the cage. Okay, you continue. You don't win the fight. You lose $100,000 bonus. You basically be smart, be a good business guy, and say, hey, you know what? I can't continue at this rate because I can't perform the way I want to perform. So I'm going to get my win bonus because he's the one that hit me with an illegal shot. I didn't hit him with an illegal shot. So the good business guy would have did what he did and fight another day and make that extra $100,000 for the family. You know, so what Diego did, in my opinion, was a very smart move. I'm not sure the UFC likes it, you know, because obviously they want you to fight. But the bottom line is they can't cut him because he won by disqualification. So who knows what can happen on the next time around if he has a bad performance. But, you know, he's been a warrior throughout his whole life, you know, and in this particular situation, he was a warrior mentally, you know, and I honestly speaking, I applaud him for that. I thought he did a great move. And as far as technical and all that, he tried. It's just the other guy was just very physical, very big, and I think you know, he looked better than a lot of the times I've seen him. But in all fairness, the guy was just a little much, I thought.
I think Diego's a warrior. He's put up a lot of fights. Time moves on, your body changes. It's kind of hard to, this time I'm going to do it, you know, like I said, over time. And I have a lot of respect for him, but, you know, it's an emotional situation and people say things, and could even be somebody like if he was mad at something DC said, DC might have just been laying the truth as he saw it. It's not like for tabloid press and people take things. This starts Twitter beefs. This is how it goes on back and forth, you know. And I'm not trying to defend anybody. If somebody says something, they say something. What did you think about that show, Tony? Did you watch that one?
Yes, I did. I think if you keep slamming a door, it's going to come off the hinges. You only have so many fights in your body, and he keeps coming up short. So, you know, you got to prepare to hang up your gloves at some time. You know, he takes a lot of shots. He never learned how to move his head. He keeps coming to the fights with the same wrestling, the same boxing. He hasn't improved. He tapered off a while ago. So he's just going to keep taking more shots and fighting younger, stronger, and the new generation is way better. Old school is not going to beat new school.
Yeah. I mean, I could see if we had today's football team go against the 1950s football team. It's not that extreme yet, but it's getting close. No, it's good to be getting the podcast back. The channel's making a comeback, guys. I had one more topic, and, you know, we want you guys to send us some fan questions, subscribe, share the site, ask Coach questions, ask Tony questions. Send us something in. We don't have our community open yet, but we will. And you can follow us on Instagram at Javier Mendez, a.k.a. podcast, and Javier at a.k.a. Jav, and Tony Valente at Valente Style, right? So the last thing I'll bring up, because I'm just trying to remember everything as we go along, was bodybuilding in MMA. I guess this was directed to you, Jav. It doesn't seem like Khabib or his guys are really into weightlifting. They're all natural, you know, calisthenics, fitness, boxing workout. What do you think about heavy weightlifting in fighting or bodybuilding in fighting? Does it benefit anybody? Boxing, kickboxing, anything? I mean, some guys are really muscular. I don't know if it's genetics or what.
I think it does work, but I honestly think that from my observation that the way Khabib does it, you know, with a lot of these other guys, the pull-up routine, the push-up, and using the body as the lifting part, you know, using your body to lift, I think is probably the best, to be honest with you. That's why I think something like gymnastics, you know, works really well because you're using your body, you know, and it's I seen Salim with my buddy Jared Ferrello. he had Salim do a lot of push-ups, a lot of body exercises, and man, Salim comes in like a beast. And within like six week period, Salim transformed his body, bro. So you'll see Friday, what the results of what Jerry Ferrillo did with him, and it was not lifting weights, it was lifting your body, you know. And no, so I think lifting weights is great, you know, but I think there's a better alternative for fighters. I think what Salim's doing, George St. Pierre too was doing stuff like, you know, gymnastics, the rings and things of that nature. So George is always ahead of the game when it comes to, you know, optimal body performance. George St. Pierre is a very intelligent man when it comes to that. He's got a great fight IQ, and he'd be the best person, I think, to talk to you about how to utilize your body for MMA purposes.
Well, you brought up the question, Tony. I mean, I don't know. A guy looks more muscular. I always think, oh, you know how people kept giving Rogan a hard time, like, oh, he's explosive, because he looked all muscular like a panther hopping around the ring. But I look at muscles, heavy muscle mass, like I've been around pro bodybuilders, and shoot, they gas quick, man. Those are like funny car muscles. They're not sprinter muscles, whereas some people have muscle like a sprinter, like, you know, huge legs, and they just explode. So I don't know. What do you think, Tone?
Well, there's a big misconception between weightlifting and bodybuilding. So you're not going to bodybuild to be a professional fighter, because a bodybuilder is going to totally break the muscle down, tear it, and feed it so it grows back. If you're lifting weights 3 days a week, it's totally different. And your recovery for calisthenics is way better. So on the off season of training, it's fine to lift weights. But when you're in fight camp, calisthenics is better because you have faster recovery. So whatever's going to make you recover the fastest without injury and less strain on your joints, that's going to be the better choice.
100%. Yeah. That's a better explanation than what I said.
Yours was pretty good off, but, you know.
No, his is more to the point. I'm just, from viewing, he's 100% correct. Recovery, the quicker you recover, that's the one that you want to do. Because what happens when your body recovers? You're at your best.
Yeah, I mean, fans that are watching the show just realize that Hav and I do defer to Tony for a lot of interesting ways of longevity, healing your body, explosion, and growth, because he's got a lot of great insight. You know, and Hav does too, because he's been a coach forever. Now, I've just tried different types of fitness. I'm not going to say that I've done that, but, you know, I pay attention. Both these guys are great. So subscribe to our channel, follow Tony, follow Hav, and we'll be back soon with another podcast, some updates on Champ Camp with, Khabib. And we were, actually, Hav was talking, it's a potential. We might have a partial Russian translation podcast. Are we still going to shoot for that off?
Yeah, also, actually, I talked to Ali. I want Ali on here. I love Ali. Yeah, Ali got to come on. So I want to put Ali on here. I just got to work it out with him. But I asked him this morning when I was talking to Khabib, I go, Ali, can I get you on my podcast? He goes, you want me on your podcast, coach? I go, hell yeah, I want you on my podcast. Why? I think you're great, you know? So hopefully we can get Ali. I mean, I've done this before where I had something for him that was really good. Netflix was interested in him. They wanted to do something with him, but he declined at the end. I think Ali likes being the manager more than he does anything else and fighting for his guys, and he actually likes publicizing himself, because if he really did want to publicize himself, he would have done it more, because he has so many opportunities. But I'm hoping he'll come on, but we'll see. I'll keep pushing him.
He was on the Tyson podcast. You know?
Yeah, but like I said, he has so many opportunities to do so much more, and he doesn't.
I think it'd be fun. Russian fighters translating in English make for an interesting thing. And heck, people can watch our show over in Russia too. And I did hear the podcasts from my Russian friends that they are getting popular. As a matter of fact, what's interesting is a lot of radio stations became podcast centers. They just converted everything, you know. They said, oh, everything's going to the internet. Merge it to the internet. So that's what's happening. Subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Javier Mendez podcast. I'll see you guys soon.